what's going on, everyone? It's B. Avery with Just My Opinion.
And I'm Malcolm Toussaint, the Midnight Rambler.
And we're here with you today for our spoiler-filled review / opinion on Pompeii. And yes, if you did hear me correctly, I did say spoilers. So we're going to be talking spoilers up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen Pompeii. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I strongly suggest you turn the video off now. We put it in that watch later list. Come back later because we're gonna talk as if you've already seen the movie, and we don't want you to be spoiled. So turn it off, or you can keep watching if you just don't care. So you have been warned. Right now, Mr. Toussaint, general impressions jumping into Pompeii. I kind of have a feeling how you feel about this because we've shot a few videos. And I want to go first if you don't mind.
Oh, you got it.
All right. Pompeii, a movie about gladiators and volcanoes blowing up. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I knew what I was getting into. I cared about the characters, the motivation behind, everything they did. I thought it was a great story. Thought it had some pretty great shots, which I'll get to in a moment. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a shit ending, but I will get to that later. But overall, I'm happy. I'm satisfied with Pompeii. Now, what about you?
I feel like this was a January movie that somehow got pushed to February. I didn't like it too much at all.
Okay.
I can't find too much I did like about it, to be honest.
Oh, that's
but we can talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it now. I pretty much knew he was gonna feel that way. I accepted the movie for what it was and what it was trying to be. It was to me more of a serious popcorn flick, if you know what I mean. It was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Are you familiar with his work?
Resident Evils.
Oh yes,
he also directed one of my favorites as a kid, Event Horizons, one of my favorite sci-fi flicks.
Oh yeah, I missed that one, but he did do the Resident Evil movies. I think they've done about 5 of them right now. I think he's only done 3 out of the 5. He may be working on part 6. He's also did Death Race. He was the producer on Death Race 1 and part 2. I don't think he directed part 2. But he also did one of my favorites, one of a cult classic that came out in 95, and that's Mortal Kombat, which is it's a bad, good movie. It's good and bad, bad and good. I mean, the movie is bad, but I love it to death. I mean, I don't know. Something about Scorpion doing a cartwheel and throwing the get over here dagger still, gets the blood flowing.
It's funny because Mortal Kombat as a kid was one of the most disappointing movies I've ever seen. Like, I was so hurt when I saw that movie.
Wow.
So he's coming back. He's come back around full circle. This Paul W.S. Anderson.
And he did Alien vs. Predator, which was disappointing. And he also did that embarrassing reboot, Three Musketeers, that came out in 2011. Yeah. To which, I enjoyed it, but it was still stupid and bad. But anyway, I knew what I was getting into when I found out that Paul W.S. Anderson was directing this. I knew it was going to be a bunch of CGI. And the story, I didn't think it was going to be that great. Characters, I just thought it was going to be a popcorn flick, and that's what it was. I knew what I was getting into. Expectations wasn't high. I knew exactly the tone of the film was going to be, and it was just that. I was actually pleasantly surprised. But what were those are my expectations. They were fair, and my expectations were met. So, and I was a little surprised. What about you?
To be honest, I had some not high expectations, but I felt like this might have been one of those sleepers. I didn't see too many trailers. It didn't really tell me the story. I didn't understand what was going on, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna give it a chance, and I want to sneak out the whole time and go watch The Legend of Hercules.
Well, since you wanted to sneak out, what is it that just stood out? Well, since you said it was pretty much nothing you like, what stood out for you that you just...
That I just really...
I guess, yeah.
It did get to a point where it was like so bad, it was like funny. It was good. I guess it was like Mortal Kombat all over again.
And I want to get to that too, but I just, Give me.
Well,
something.
just from the very beginning, kind of predictable as far as the love situation, and
right.
That wasn't a believable situation. They just kind of, he bent over. It was that cliche. He bends over, looks into her eyes. All of a sudden, he's in love. Like, I was like, I'm not sold at all.
I mean, I'll give you that. The love story was actually okay. It worked for me because it was just kind of one of those, love at first sight type of things. Now, if they would have if the character would have Kit Harington, he's in Game of Thrones as Jon Snow. If you don't watch that on HBO, I strongly recommend it. He's one of the main characters. He falls in love with, I don't want to call it a princess, but just the main female character.
I mean, it's fair to call it a princess.
Okay, fine. The princess. We'll just call it a princess for princess's sake. But yes, if they would have fell in love off of just a bunch of long stairs, that would have been a little too much for me. But I don't know. They had for me, it was an attraction, and it grew because she saved his life. And if they didn't have that part in the movie, it would have been an epic fail for me as far as a love story is concerned. But it was just an attraction that they had. I mean, I kind of felt like that was even more motivation for him to fight harder, when he was thrown into the gladiator arena.
Here was my this is my issue with their love situation. It felt more real on her part. Like, he didn't really have too much conviction. Like, I wasn't really sold. He was just going through the motions. That character that he played. He didn't do a good job to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, the script was they wrote it pretty well as far as I'm concerned, as far as their love story. I mean, no, this isn't a 2.5 hour movie and The Notebook where it could just be in depth. It's a Paul W.S. Anderson film. So, I mean, how much can you want? I understand where you're coming from, but I just wasn't expecting, it to be.
Well, you know what? Because I actually, from the Resident Evil movies, I remember like some, sometimes it'd be some witty dialogue, some clever lines, and some action. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get that. Like, it was comical, some of their lines that they had in there.
Yeah, one for. I'm just curious on.
Well, the main one, my favorite one was when they were in the the Coliseum and Kiefer Sutherland, which
know who he is.
I like him. Yeah. I liked him since like 93. Yeah, one of my favorite.
He's kind of typecast, but I don't care about that. I mean, it's fine for me. Other people may complain, but
I feel like it was a horrible casting situation. Like, he didn't do a good job at all. But he said a line that he said that it's not sports, it's politics, and I just bust out laughing. Like, this is a joke.
Go ahead. I didn't want to cut.
No, it was funny. The thing that kind of took me out the movie was when you saw the character played by Joe Pink. He was the guy who owned the slaves or whatever.
Yeah.
And you saw him for the first time, and he had the finger wave bangs with the Shirley Temple curled beard, and I was like, this movie is a joke.
Really?
Yes.
Wow,
I was done with the movie. Also, at the very ending, when they were like, he was going to look for her, and I'm like, well, they're about to die. Like, I understand, you're so in love and you got to go, you go against the grain, that old cliche. You got to, life or death to go save this woman, but it just seems so unrealistic the way her friend got killed. Like, the whole building
was bad. Yeah,
I was like, this is really, really bad.
That was real bad. But I mean, for me, it wasn't. I mean, you say that he had to go save her. This is life and death because they're so in love. I mean, he just felt that he owed her a debt. I mean, he wouldn't be able to live with himself, if he didn't go save her. Because I mean, she saved his life, and she saved him. I think, even twice. Even when at the beginning when the horse carriage fell into the ditch, and I don't know how the horse got injured. That really didn't make sense to me. I mean, did you really have to snap the horse's neck?
He could have broke his leg,
Yeah, well, I guess they should have just did a better job of explaining that. But I will give you one. The friend died. That was pretty cheesy. It was very frustrating. Apparently, the women behind us felt the same way because they gave us a commentary throughout the whole movie, which was pretty.
Which is more entertaining to me than actual film.
Anyway. But I will say that yes, and yeah, some of the when the friend did die, when she fell to her death, some of the CGI in there and throughout wasn't the best. But then again, it's a Paul W.S. Anderson movie, so I knew what I was walking into. But what was frustrating to me was when they were in peril and trying to get away, there were just too many times where they stopped and stared at each other. I'm like, will you hurry and get the hell out of Dodge? The volcano is erupting. The ground is shaking. The buildings are falling down around you. Why are you taking your time with these deep breath stares? I mean, that is really annoying. So that was bad. And, the friend could have lived. Something else, and I'll just go ahead and get the bad stuff out the way.
Okay.
Something else that was bad was towards the end when Keith Sullivan, and I actually liked his character. When he was kidnapping the princesses, running on the chariot,
Okay.
and Kit Harington was chasing them down, and his horse, and the building was, everything was just, going to shit right behind them, and they were just this close, he was finna die. It was just like a little hair left, but as soon as they stopped, it seemed like all the destruction stopped as well. Like it seemed like the whole volcano and all the chaos stopped to give them a scene of dialogue and character interaction. I just didn't buy that. I'm like, what?
I hate that in movies.
How did the building stop falling down? Why did the volcano stop erupting? That doesn't really make sense to me. But I mean, at that point, I was already satisfied with what I was watching. I didn't care at that point. Because I just didn't take the movie seriously. I mean, I understand, you're grading it harder than I am. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But it was just, it was a popcorn flick, so I just didn't care too much.
I wouldn't bill Kiefer Sutherland as a top grade actor.
No,
but he's one of my he's like I said, he's been one of my favorites since he was in Last Light back in '93. Mm-hmm. He's as a young kid, he was always one of my favorites. So I guess I had a little bit of a higher expectation than maybe I should have. Also, what's his name? Adewale from Oz.
My boy.
Adebisi.
Yeah,
and I saw
my boy.
Also one of my favorites as a kid growing up. One of my favorite shows. So I just was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those, cult classics or something like that. I guess I just expected way too much from this film.
Possibly.
So I got to get that out the way. I did, and I did grade it hard. Like I was totally taken away by how bad it was.
Really, Adewale, he was my favorite character. I mean, he was a G. He was great in the action. He had great dialogue. I liked his motivation. Yeah. He was my absolute favorite.
I agree.
I was already a fan of his work. He's done a lot of films as supporting actors. As a supporting actor. Nothing really. He I don't think he's ever led a film or led a show.
I don't think so.
But I think he deserves it. I mean, he has a lot of talent. He's very vast in his roles as well. I mean, he just did a great job. He was in Thor: The Dark World as one of the Dark Elves, Curse. He actually played two characters, Curse, and I forgot the other one. He did a decent job in that. And he was my favorite character. Before I just started raving on how much I liked him, something else that was bad. Now, the CGI, could have been a lot better. I was going to say something else, but I don't want to go to that.
Oh,
Something that just stood out to me like nails on a chalkboard was when they were in the Coliseum, mm-hmm. and they were, showing the Coliseum. When they would have the camera here and show the Coliseum in the back, there was, horrible green screen, horrible blue screen. Blue screen, green screen. They use them both today in the movies. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. But you can just tell that the background was fake on a lot of shots. Other than that, there isn't anything that we saw. This comes at what's today? What's today's date? On Friday was the 16th.
Yeah.
So this comes out on the 21st. We were able to see this last Wednesday, and I wish we would have shot it then because I'm forgetting about something.
I'm not. I got this to say. This was probably the worst utilization of 3D I can remember seeing. Like all they had was the ashes. That was the only thing that was really, because every time I was like, is it really just that bad? So I would take my glasses off, and I was like, yeah, like you really can't. Sometimes you take your glasses off and you see the lines and everything. Here it wasn't that. It just wasn't that much depth in the 3D.
3D wasn't that great. You can only tell the 3D in the opening and closing credits, and also some ashes of fire.
Or the fireballs. That was the only thing that even stood out.
And it didn't stand out that great. Well, and Mr. Hater Man over here, I'm joking. You're entitled to your opinion, bro. I'm joking.
It's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's just. What else did you not like? Well, you didn't like anything about it. So what did you like?
Well, like I said, I felt that the princess character was genuine. I actually I'm not gonna lie, I like to look at her lips.
She did have some full lips. Yeah.
That's her facial structure. She was like a
big ass full lips.
A baby Angelina Jolie. Yeah. But that was about it. Her and her homegirl. They were eye candy.
I think she was in that the latest Big Mama's House 3. I think she was in that.
I did not
which
see that.
Was I love you, Martin Lawrence, but ooh, that was a bad movie.
I wasn't even gonna see that for free.
But anyway, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she was very pretty to me. The friend that died was very pretty. I think they had some nice costumes. I thought the action was pretty decent. You know, especially the fighting. I love a good one-on-one.
It was decent.
I love a good one-on-one. Yeah, it wasn't the best. You know, the camera worked, you know, pretty well with that. Something that stood out to me the most was the aerial shots. There were a lot of aerial shots, and in my opinion, I don't know how you feel, they were quite beautiful. I mean, they showed you aerial shots of the ocean, of the sea, of the mountain, of the Colosseum, of the town, of Rome, of Pompeii.
Okay.
And there was a lot of aerial shots, and it really just set the tone for me, and it showed the scope and how big their civilization was, and just also just, you know, put into perspective of what they were about to lose when the volcano erupted. So that really worked well for me. I mean, I wanted to say that, you know, there was an aerial shot that wasn't my favorite, but all the aerial shots were just, you know, they were gorgeous for me.
It was a couple of nice shots in there, but that didn't save the movie. It was one, you know what, when they show, I guess this sounds really bad, but I guess I got spoiled by the Legend of Hercules. That's how bad the Colosseum. All right, it didn't look nice at all. Like the whole setup was just really, it just looked really, really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the best. I've seen, you know, Colosseums that look better, but it just didn't stand out to me that way.
Yeah.
Well, and something else that I do like is the confrontation, the one-on-one confrontations that they had with each other, you know, in the film. Like when Kit Harington was with Adewale in the jail.
That was some of the worst dialogue in the film, though. I was like,
really?
At
that
first,
was getting
when that introduction, it got better and better. I was about to say, like, his character, I was like, this is one of my favorites as a kid. He's gonna do a horrible job when their very first interaction, but it got better and better and better because he became that, you know, that helper, that old helper mate, you know, that's in all those, you know, old stories like that. And he did a good job. It was hilariously bad how he died with his Black Power fist up in the air, you know, and he said that cheesy line.
I'm free. I loved it. I mean,
but no, it was the most. It felt genuine. You know, he'd rather die a free man than a slave. Yeah. Okay, I get it, but it was just.
I mean, how else
at that point? I was already over it.
You cannot. There's nothing else that you can do. You know you're gonna die. You heard this phrase and quoting many movies, books, whatever. You know, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, and, you know, that type of thing. I mean, he just wanted to go out on his own terms.
Yeah,
and I mean,
but we've seen it before, though. So I was kind of over it. I expected it to happen. I guess I predicted it to happen, so it didn't have that much of an effect.
I mean, even though I didn't even know he was going to go out like that because they had the decent fight. That was a good one-on-one fight. You know, they could have ran, but, you know, he pretty much knew that he couldn't get away. So he was like, you know what, you're a bitch anyway. I just, you know, my last, you know, few breaths on this earth, I just want to kill you and take you down.
I respect
and that. You're right. And they gave, I already loved him anyway at this point. And then they gave him a good fight. He just didn't dominate the other dude. It was a nice fight. He got stabbed in the chest, and he kept digging the sword into his torso even more and more. And I thought there was no hope, but he just used that last bit of adrenaline and turned it back on him and stabbed him in the neck. And I forgot what he said. You know, he was talking down to him like a slave will never, you know, be able to, something. And it was like, no, you know, let me flip it back on you. And he stabbed him in the neck.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I mean,
that was probably the best part of the movie to me.
Yeah. And, you know, when you said the dialogue was bad, when they were in the jail, I mean, I like Adewale, I like Kit Harington. Both great, noble men that just wanted to live and, you know, fight for their freedom. You know, they didn't have any, you know, personal beef. It was this kind of business. You know, I mean, they don't take this personal. Look, I'm going to have to kill you tomorrow because, you know, I want to be free. And it's like, no, sir, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to kill you.
Yeah, but that's expected. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can say that it's expected, but they wasn't angry at each other and, you know, throwing salt in each other's way. I mean, they were just going about theirs and, you know, just we're going to let the best man win. And I mean, they ended
you could
up
already
being teammates
tell
as well. They ended up working together. I mean, I don't know.
I could already tell that's what that's the character. That's what he was going to play Adewale. I mean, because you already had the guys that he had the beef with, he had fought or whatever. So it didn't really seem like it was going to end like that. So I predicted that much.
Oh.
When you see enough movies, understand like the dynamics of what's going to happen. He's going to have somebody that's going to help him to do what he was meant to do in the film. So.
Wow. And even going back to the beginning with Kit Harington's character, his family was slaughtered in front of him, by Kiefer Sutherland's character.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guy, the Adewale, fought towards the end. So, excuse me, when he saw him in the end, and he realized, he remembered their face. It's like, oh, I'm going to kill you. That I don't know. That's what I meant at the beginning of the video, just saying I love the motivation, behind his character. He just.
He needed something because he wasn't too convincing of it.
I mean, yeah, they did. But how do you feel about what do you feel about the fights? When he thought he was going to be for free, but Adewale thought he was going to fight for his freedom. But then they put him in the Coliseum. It's supposed to be a one-on-one fight, and they had him chained up to that podium, all of them with the spikes in the background and the thing they had to climb up on, and they had all the 30 guys over here. I love that scene.
Well, I feel like it was too good to be true. So really? I expected something. Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna fight for his freedom, and that's it. No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I thought he might have, been like, injured, like really, really maimed or something like that.
Yeah.
But I figured something was gonna happen to where he wasn't gonna get his freedom.
Yeah, I mean, they lied to him, didn't give him his freedom. You know this because you've seen it. And I thought that was a really good fight scene. I mean, they tried to hold their own at the bottom. It wasn't working.
Yeah, it was.
Some of the other gladiators were dropping like flies, and they had to regroup. So they jumped up on the rocks, and they just started taking them out more and more. Kit Harington's character jumped on the horse, and he had the chain, and he started, running around the arena, knocking them out. But then one of our guys just ripped them down. It was a nice challenge. Well, and I like how they worked together.
That's what I liked.
Yeah, I mean,
when they finally came together as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was expecting a brainless, movie of people fighting and a volcano erupting, and I just got that. I even liked the effects, that when the volcano erupted. That was pretty good to me too. I didn't like the shitty ending with them dying. I felt that they could have got their ass back on the horse and rode out. It actually made me bring my rating down at one point because that death was completely unnecessary. I mean, I was very frustrated with that. Why did you have to do that? But, yeah. I mean, that was just stupid.
I expected another thing I expected from this film, because of who directed it and what else he directed, to be a lot more 3D, a lot better 3D, a lot more just visual, just a visual. I thought it was going to be a visual, popcorn flick, but it wasn't even that.
Really? Well, I respectfully disagree. The visuals wasn't the best in the world, no, but, they were really good. Somebody else I didn't mention was Carrie-Anne Moss. She was Trinity in the Matrix. She did a great job. I forgot Jared Harris. He was married to Carrie-Anne Moss's character. He was the villain in, was it Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. He did a really good job in that film. I really liked him. That's when he became on the map for me. Mm-hmm. He was a very weak character in this film. He should have killed. I mean, the dude was just a baby. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland was just coming in there like, okay, I'm going to take your daughter away with me back to Rome, and you're not going to do anything about it. Bullshit.
It's Rome. It's the Empire. They talked about that a bunch. I mean, he killed, the lead character's family in the beginning. So, but he still seemed kind of weak.
He did.
We just thought he had more on his sleeve.
Right. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any respect for him.
You didn't empathize.
Why his wife had to tell him, Carrie-Anne, she had to tell him to kill him, and he hesitated. I mean, why are you hesitating?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Overall, I really enjoyed it, except for the shitty ending. Malcolm, he doesn't agree at all, but that's fine. Now, if it wasn't for the bad ending, where they died and they just stared at each other and kissed as they got, burned to death, I would have gave this an 8 out of a 10. But because they died and that was so stupid, I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of a 10. What about you, Malcolm?
Well,
what would you give it?
I don't want to go
-3.
No, I don't want to go too ham on it, but I expected more than it gave me. It was a bad performance by the lead actor.
Really? You didn't say that earlier either.
Yeah. I told you he didn't convince me at all.
Oh shit.
Yeah, his main motivation was pretty much not just to escaping slavery, but the love, and it didn't seem real to me. It was some cheesy dialogue, some cheesy deaths. Not bad. It wasn't any good 3D. I mean, you know what I mean? Except the fireballs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from when the volcano exploded. But everything else was kind of just kind of bland. Nothing could really save this movie. Even having some of my favorites as a kid, some of my favorite actors, I give this a 2 out of 10. Easily.
2 out of 10, easily. Damn. Okay, well, that's cool. Let me ask you this real quick. Did you prefer this or Vampire Academy more? Actually, I just want to know. No, rate these out of the best to worst. Pompeii, Vampire Academy, and Legend of Hercules.
In what order?
No, the best.
Best to worst?
The best to worst.
Legend of Hercules. This one, Vampire Academy.
You thought the Legend of Hercules is better than this?
Yes. I told you.
Wow.
Legend of Hercules is gonna be a cult. It's so bad that it's good. It's
Wow.
It's gonna be a bunch of teens getting high in about 10 years watching the Legend of Hercules.
Shocked. So you said Legend of Hercules, this Vampire Academy.
It's a campy bad movie.
Damn. Okay.
They at least tried. I feel like in Legend of Hercules, they tried, but there was some bad directing, bad acting.
Well,
but
I'm shocked.
They couldn't help themselves.
Well, anyway, guys, 8 out of a 10. No, that's right.
7
out of a 10.
2 out of a 10.
We didn't agree at all, but that's okay. What did you think? We would love to hear your opinion because you've heard our opinion. We would love to hear yours as well. So comment in the comment section below. Like I said, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, it doesn't matter. Just because we like or dislike something doesn't mean that you're going to like or dislike something, because all films are subjective. Let's just talk about it, but be respectful. If you want to find me online, you can at facebook.com/justmyopinion or justmyopinion. No, on Twitter and Instagram at justmyopinion84. You can also find me on the website at justmyopinion.net. Malcolm, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Facebook, also Instagram MTOOG, or Twitter Malcolm #2 G.
Well, there you go, guys. You've heard our opinion. We would love to hear yours as well. So comment in that comment section below. Give us that thumbs up. Click on that subscribe button. Become one of our subscribers so you can get all the content that we have. We're going to be just talking movies, and more movies. So, yeah, comment, click a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with the world. We don't mind. And before you go, don't forget that my name is B. Avery. And that's just my opinion. Peace.
I wanted to do that. Oh, no, we didn't agree, so never mind.
Oh, what did you say?
No, it's not sport. It's politics. You know the video thing that come on with the logo or whatever. Oh. It's not sports. It's politics.